All right, welcome to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I am your host, John. And if you could please hit that like and subscribe button, I appreciate it. And we are in the middle of the weekend. I hope you're having a good weekend. Sunday is here. Really, after the Knicks Indiana series ended, we're kind of in a little lull here until Wednesday when the NHL starts heating back up for the Stanley Cup Finals. But we got to make do with what we got to make do. And I will tell you this, that there was some really good podcast with Brian on Friday about baseball and Scott just talking about a lot of other stuff too. I always learn a lot from those guys. I really do recommend you check them out. It seems, and if you have any comments, leave them. I try to respond to everything. May take me a day or so, but I do personally respond to them. All right, let's go to the association. And the bigger thing that happened here was obviously the Indiana Pacers went to the NBA Finals for the first time in over 20 years. Amazing accomplishment. Nobody had that on their bingo card. But actually, the big sub story here was this is the last game TNT would ever broadcast. Um, they lost out on continuing their rights. Inside the NBA is going to go to ESPN, where I'm sure they are going to destroy it. They're terrible with that kind of stuff. Their pregame shows, hockey, basketball, just suck because they're trying to stick in too many commercials there to, I guess, justify the big money. I guess that's what it is. Okay, fine. You want good content, you got to let the guys breathe a little. And TNT does. I think literally their hockey coverage is much better than ESPN's, and their NBA is infinitely better. It is the best pregame show of anything, and it was sentimental to see them all. I mean, yeah, everybody's going to be staying there except for the announcers, those kind of staff. We'll see if they pick up on ESPN, but like Stan Van Gundy, yeah, I'm not going to miss that guy. Reggie Miller is going to NBC. I'm sure. I'm sure the other guys, but it was nice to see the retrospective on Saturday night of TNT with Marv Albert. Just all the great names that have been there. C Webb was there. You saw pictures of C Webb and Reggie in the beginning, and it was kind of sentimental. It was kind of nice. They've had a long run, and they've been great. And actually, the owner of TNT, I think he made a terrible mistake. I think as part of the negotiation, he gave up the NBA, but he got NBA rights to Poland and Brazil or something like that. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think TNT is going to start to understand how many subscribers to it are going to leave because they don't have the NBA. I mean, yeah, hockey's all nice and cute, wrestling's all nice and cute. Yeah, French Open, great. But people came there for the movies and the NBA, and we'll see how it all plays out. But I think it was an epic mistake, and I think NBC did a really smart thing picking it up. But let's talk about the game. The Indiana Pacers are your Eastern Conference champions. They beat the New York Knicks 125 to 108. It was a close game until the third period, middle of the third period, when they went on a 9-0 run and basically iced the game. I watched the game, and I watched all the games, and I think this is going to sound so redundant. Why are we coming to off the rails, John, if it's the same crap everybody else is telling us? Yeah, but sometimes it's true. When Indiana was able to push the pace, when it was a little more up tempo, it really favored them. And in the games that New York won, let's harken back to game 5, though. In the first period, I thought New York ran the ball really, really well. They just hit a lot of their three-pointers. I thought Towns was great. I thought Brunson was great. I thought the team played real well, but they just couldn't keep up with the speed and the skill of the Indiana Pacers. And Halliburton was just magnificent. Siakam was just, I think that was the breakout star in this series. He had 31 points. He was the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. Halliburton had 21 points and 13 assists. Toppin, the former New York Knick, actually chipped in 18 points. They came back. They knew they had to win. If they didn't win, the series was going to be over after Game 7 in New York. is what it is. The Knicks haven't reached the finals since 1999, and it's just another lost year here. I don't think you're going to get rid of Tibbs. I think they're going to keep him. I do worry the mileage he's putting on his star players, his starting five. I wish they'd have some different rotations, but Tibbs has forgotten more about basketball than I'll probably ever know. But to me, and I know I'm the only guy out there saying this, there's certain guys who can take you from nothing to a playoff team. And there's guys who can take the playoff team and get them to the title. Tibbs isn't this guy. Tibbs is the guy who can take a ragtag group, increase their defensive intensity, make them incredibly coordinated, incredibly efficient, and he's going to get you 48, 50 wins. In the playoffs, when you see a team 4, 5, 6, 7 games, you understand their tendencies, and that's where his teams always break down. Whether it be in Minnesota, whether it be in New York, whatever it is, the other guys have the answers, and he doesn't. He doesn't come up with innovative solutions to counter that. And that's what great coaches do. I think about Phil Jackson. Yeah, he had some great players, but there was other great players in the leagues too. When they counteracted, Phil always had an answer. He always figured it out. That's just what it was. For the losing New York Knicks, Anunoby, 24 points, Towns 22 and 14, and I think they've got to be really pleased with how that trade ended up. They got a big man who really doesn't play like a big man, but man, that guy he's putting buckets in there. I do keep wondering what happened to Mikal Bridges. Is that a Tom Thibodeau thing? Did he not sync up well with this team? I mean, you gave up a king's ransom for the guy. I just really never saw the guy. Brunson had 19. Just a magnificent player. What are you going to do? Sometimes the better team wins, and I think Indiana absolutely was the better team here. Let's go to golf. The Women's U.S. Open, we have Stark leading at -7. We'll see how that works out. I was surprised that they showed it on network TV. I was kind of surprised. I'm glad to see it. Honestly, and this is terrible of me, if I'm not seeing Nelly Korda, I'm not seeing, I've just no interest. I really don't. And I'm a big golf fan. I then tuned over to the Memorial, which seemed to broadcast a little late. It was after the finals over there in the Champions League. Scheffler goes into your fourth round as the leader at 8 under, and wow, what a heavy favorite. He's coming off a win, and this guy's just loaded for. Oh, I take it back. He won the PGA. He lost in his last outing, but man, he is getting ready for the U.S. Open, and this guy is just hunting. He is 8 under. Griffin, -7. He actually had the lead most of the day and then got into some trouble late. He's one back. Taylor actually didn't have a very good day, but he holed out from the fairway. That actually made the ground a little bit better. He's in third at 5 under. We got Straka Bradley at 3 under. We also have Jordan Spieth, and I really like Jordan Spieth. This guy just isn't the big game player he used to be. I don't know what it is. I saw him. He was 5 under, and then he started missing some 6-footers, and I was like, man, that ain't Jordan Spieth. There's something there, and I don't know what it is. And I'd love to see him back at the top of the leaderboard. But, his first 4 years in, he won 3 majors. And they keep talking, well, he's got to get the PGA for the career Grand Slam. You know what? Let's see this guy in contention on a Sunday. Because I just don't think this guy's got it anymore. I mean, yeah, he does have the talent to win a major somewhere, but to be a threat, to be in the Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele. I'll even say Colin Morikawa, even though I think he kind of has moved on from that. I'd even put Justin Thomas ahead of Spieth. I think he's just a much more formidable guy. Just my thought, and I am a golf guy, so we will have some picks for the RBC this week. I will tell you this. I really like, I'll tell you something. If you're listening and you're a gambler, I like McIntyre and I like Lowry for the British Open. I know. I know. Okay, 6 weeks away. Yeah, I know. All right. All right. Let's move on. I can hear your condescension. I can hear it. Okay. All right. Let's talk about Major League Baseball and the biggest game of the day. The Los Angeles Dodgers in a remake and a redo over the World Series took on the New York Yankees and devastated them 18-2. And Aaron Judge had a home run. It was just an ass whooping from the beginning. You know, those things happen. It doesn't really reflect. The Dodgers clinched the series. They won the game one, and they were just hitting. I really don't know how the Dodgers are doing it without the starting pitching that they paid for. They have 5 starting pitchers on the DL, IL, whatever we're calling it now. But man, they just pummeled the Yankees. All right, everybody's allowed a bad game. You know, let's move forward. In the MLB for Saturday, we had the Pirates beating the Padres. Nobody had that on their bingo card. We had the Nationals destroying the Diamondbacks. Not a good day for the NL West, right? The Cubs beat the Reds 2-0. Athletics lost to the Blue Jays 8-7, and the Blue Jays are second in the AL East, and they are deceptive. They're 30-28. Yeah, I know that gets you second there, but man, the Red Sox are looking up at them. I don't know what's going on. Orioles played the White Sox in a game, literally a game of we might need to pay people to come watch this trash. They beat them 4-2. Brewers beat the Phillies 17-7. Cardinals beat the Rangers, who have been in a slump for 2 weeks, 2-0. Angels lost to the Guardians in Cleveland, 7-5. The Red Sox, of course, we knew that. God forbid they win a series. They lost to the Braves 5-0, and the Braves are 27-30. I mean, I keep thinking they're the little train that could, and they're finally going to get to 500, but no, sorry, Chuck. Marlins in the upset of the day beat the San Francisco Giants 1-0. The Royals beat the Tigers 1-0. I guess there was a little lack of offensive output going on. The Rays beat the Astros 16-3. The Mariners pulled off a thriller at the end. Cole Young got his first walk-off home run. Beat the Twins 5-4, and like I said, the Dodgers beat the Yankees 18-2. 6 field goals, or maybe you got to catch your extra points. I don't know what it was. All right, if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it means a lot to us. Leave some comments, and we will see you soon on Off the Rails Sports Podcast.